name is Anne-Marie Weibel. I'm here in front of Town Hall in Fort Bragg, ready to listen to what the City Council will determine what kind of action they want to take. The discussion is about small cell wireless telecommunication facilities, and we know that pretty soon this will mean 5G. Already 1G, 2G, 3G, and 4G are pretty dangerous. But when it comes to having 5G, fifth generation, on top of all the other RFs, radio frequency, this makes quite a electromagnetic soup. Which is hard for people who are sensitive to this technology, and it's hard for many others because it has been proven now by peer-reviewed scientific research that 5G causes cancer, and not only that, it causes a myriad of other ailments. Many people don't even know that whatever bothers them could be related to having too many of these electronic gadgets all around us. California voted to let, actually there was a veto by Governor Brown that individual communities should have a right to determine for themselves what they want to accept for their own communities, their cities, their towns. But unfortunately, the federal government is pressuring each city and town to hurry up and have more gadgets, whatever they're going to be, on street lamps, on lights in front of people's bedrooms, so that they can cover the gap. They talk about the gap. What is really interesting is to find out that the industry is telling us that we're going to need an antenna every 100 to 500 feet so that we do have this technology at our hands, but it actually carries at least 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So there is another motive behind this. I mean, people are talking about the Internet of Things. They're talking about cars that don't need to be actually driven anymore with a driver behind the steering wheel, or operation that can happen, with this technology. But it is really a tool that the federal government is using to infringe on the privacy of the people. And it's also a weapon because this technology is so strong that this is not safe for people, plants, or animals. And unless we let our cities and towns know that we do not accept that, unless we talk to our officials who are representing us, this is not a good scenario. There are many countries who are considering or have already considered not accepting this technology. There are many cities and towns that have joined lawsuits and that are creating very stringent guidelines and ordinances. So far, Fort Bragg has not taken that as serious as many citizens are hoping, and we're hoping that tonight the City Council will listen to us and realize that this is really a dangerous situation, and these council members, we voted them in. It's their mission to protect us, and it is not their mission to listen to the FCC, which has guidelines that are 25 years old and that do not talk about any risk associated with 5G. So I hope that we can prevail and that we can keep our citizens safe.
My name is Leslie Kashiwada, and I'm here to oppose the 5G proposal that's coming before the City Council tonight. I know that 5G has an impact, 4G does as well, and most people don't feel those things, but lots of people are very sensitive. So I went to the science to see what the science would say, and a review paper that I found said that the U.S. and international standards for EMFs are based on thermal changes, but there are significant non-thermal effects of EMFs, and that especially if they're pulsed and polarized, which 5G is and 4G is, and that never gets mentioned. All the testing gets done on non-pulsed, non-polarized EMFs, and only looking for thermal effects. So the kinds of effects, and I have to read from the list because I can't remember all of it. 7 effects have been found, repeatedly found, following Wi-Fi and other EMF exposures. And again, this is a 2018 review study with many, many references, and I can provide the link to it for anyone that wants. It includes cellular death, which plays a central role in neurodegenerative diseases, oxidative stress, which is a causal role in most chronic human diseases, testes and sperm dysfunction, including damage to the DNA, neuropsychiatric effects, including EEG changes due to impact on the brain structure, damage to DNA, which can cause cancer, hormone changes, and a calcium rise or overload. And it's thought that Wi-Fi acts via voltage-gated calcium channel activation. There's one study that gets repeatedly cited by people who say there are no effects, and this is a study by Foster and Mulder, and they found that study to be highly flawed, and they explain the reasons why. So despite all these clear and important non-thermal effects, they aren't considered when standards are created. And if EMFs are pulsed and polarized, then the effects are even greater. So pulsed EMFs are more active than non-pulsed EMFs. Artificial EMFs are polarized and more active than non-polarized EMFs, which would mean EMFs from natural sources. Dose response curves are non-linear and non-monotone. So all of the industry studies assume that everything, any changes occur just on a straight line, but it's more likely an exponential increase in effects. The effects are often cumulative and non-reversible, and the impacts are greatest on young people. For these reasons, this grand experiment that's being done on our society by placing these cellular towers and devices close to where we live is something that we need to look at, and we need to look at it with informed consent. And right now it's just being imposed upon us. So for this reason, I think that we need to be very careful about where we place those Wi-Fi devices or multipliers, and definitely make sure they're not close to houses or schools or hospitals, but also that we need to have areas where there are none, so that people who are highly sensitive can find their way to those areas. I think that's all I need to say.
My name is Justine Olivia Battersby, and I'm standing up against 5G because this is something that's been so undemocratically rolled out into our communities, and we hear all of this talk about how our vote matters and about democracy and community, and we're not given an opportunity here. We're not given a chance. This 1996 Telecommunications Act is a direct hit against our First Amendment rights of speech. And so we're at a tough spot here because we have a community and a county and a city council that mostly seems like it wants to care for its community, but its hands are tied by the FCC. And specifically the company AT&T, Epic Wireless, is the one that we're dealing with right now. I have particular problems with them as they were the first corporation to be caught spying on Americans during the Iraq War in 2003. So it's a bit of a problem to not be given the ability to give our consent, or to even have the situation disclosed to us. Nature, human health, our children, our elders, our animals, everything will be affected by this. And we have the scientific community coming together. We have various doctors, health practitioners, professional people that have the credentials to make these types of decisions that are coming forth, and giant movements are happening. Just asking that our community can be ready to resist, be ready to push back against this roll out of this 5G or small cell technology, because what we see, we're only given a little bit at a time, and we haven't even really been told anything about what small cell is or what the microwave technology really is with these monopine cell towers that they want to put beyond Fort Bragg City Council, Fort Bragg City. So we've been lied to. And this is a growing movement. We want to be healthy. We want our hospitals and our health systems to be in check. We don't want to further burden our community with this type of assault on our human health. And that's just our health, which is everything we have. We have nothing without our health, but it's also the health of the wildlife around us and the nature around us. And it would be a complete game changer for the coast of Mendocino. So in the spirit of grassroots activism, in the spirit of the people that have come here for many years to make change, here's another opportunity for us to come together in solidarity and demand our rights, to demand democracy, and if need be, cease and desist, notice of liability, and multiple lawsuits. Thank you so much.
My name is Sally Stewart. I live in Mendocino County on the coast. I've lived here for 42 years, and I've never in my life thought that I would ever have to deal with something as horrible as Wi-Fi 5G. We're fighting for our life. We're fighting for the life of the bees, of the animals on Earth, and of our own children and our brains. It's very important that you all go online and type in 5G, and you'll get so much information and the truth by a lot of people who've been studying this, and how very dangerous it is for our health and our well-being and our families and the animals in the earth. God bless. Please investigate this. Sally Stewart.